So let's focus on the final session of this workshop, which is the TAM for follow-on markets. So why is it important to also consider follow-on markets? We talked about it briefly before, but here's a short recap. First of all, your initial beachhead market was supposed to be a smaller market, and you're going to jump from a smaller market into a larger market. So the goal is to really increase your customer base and increase the revenues accordingly. This is the first point. The second point was always from the beginning on. The beachhead market strategy involves you start small and you expand. So you want to go to larger markets because the initial market was just too small in most of the cases, at least. Then it is actually really important to align your perceptions on the follow-on markets with your shareholders. This is really important because the investors want to understand in what kind of markets do you plan to enter in the future, because that shows how big is this going to be or potentially going to be. So this is what investors, but definitely you as a founder as well, want to be aware of in the future. So this is why you need to focus on follow-on markets. So how can you actually do this? There is one very common approach we figured out. And the first one is really just you have to validate the size of the follow-on markets. You can follow a similar approach, which you have done with the TAM market. But what you ideally do is you let your team discuss, brainstorm, and think about what kind of markets you could choose as follow-on markets, which are the most potential ones, and then you just narrow down again. But again, use the bottom-up approach. Don't trust on top-down analysis only. So this is really important. There are two very common strategies to follow. So the first one is to do upselling. So what that means is you sell the same customers different products. So you develop some new product or some new service, and with that, you can increase your revenues. The second strategy is really focusing on adjacent markets. So that means you sell the same products to a different market. This means obviously some more things to do, but we will focus on that in the next slide. So let's start with upselling. Use the customer insight you have gained so far, and when you have done primary market research, you should have a lot of customer insights to develop other or additional products or services which you can sell to the customers. This should not be too difficult. The difficult part here is at least to develop new products or services which could be sold or co-sold to the customer. You benefit from the existing relationship, so you don't need to establish new marketing and sales channels, and you have a strong relation with the customer, hopefully already established. So this makes upselling in comparison to other strategies easier. The second strategy is a little bit more complex, but also has a higher upside, which is focusing on adjacent markets. So you benefit from your strong product expertise, and you can sell it to customers with similar pain points. What you need to do is you need to adjust your product to the particular needs of those customers in the adjacent markets. So you, again, need to understand their pain points and see if there's actually a fit. So that's why you need to do, again, primary market research. So there's another layer of work you have to add, and that could be potentially time and resource efficient. So the challenge is really here in that strategy to establish again the connections. So you don't know those customers, so you really have to put in a lot of resources to get to know them, to understand what their pain points are, and then establish sales channel, marketing channels to really reach them and make them buy the product. This takes time and money. So be careful what kind of strategy you choose. So how do you approach this? Usually you just identify 5 to 6 adjacent markets or upselling opportunities, and you calculate their respective TAMs. The same approach as used before. Then the rule of thumb is the follow-on market size should be really about 1 billion. or at least the third market after you dominated the first and the second, should be higher than 1 billion, especially if you're looking for VC money. Keep that in mind. So, what are particular challenges for AI startups when you analyze follow-on markets? Well, first of all, it's a resource-intensive retraining, especially if you have to enter a new industry. You obviously, like we mentioned before, you need new data. Maybe you even need to adjust your algorithm, and that takes time and money to really build up. So this is something which costs you money. You have to consider this one. The second point is market adaptation. Adjacent markets may demand adjustments from varying data formats. So this is something also which is resource intensive and will cost you additional money and time. So keep that in mind. And also infrastructure and regulations might be different, which maybe not allow for that kind of AI model you're offering. So be careful in that perspective. But there are also great opportunities in this field. So what you should do is actually also focus on scalability. So AI is really destined to become a great scalability factor in your operations. So that means the AI, if retrained, if you have the right data, it can be retrained and you can serve a new market or new customers within that market with your product. So there's a huge opportunity for follow-on markets. And then the final point here are modular systems. Building modular AI systems enables seamless expansion into adjacent markets. So these kind of modular systems is crucial to have in order to really serve adjacent markets. So make sure if you design your AI model that you have this kind of follow-on market already in the back of your mind. This is something you can consider, and that will save you a lot of time, money, and other resources. Well, I hope that really helped you and you got something out of this workshop. If you have any additional questions, please don't hesitate to contact me over LinkedIn or over any other method. I'm really happy to get engaged with you guys and see where I can help out. All the best for your startup, and I wish you all the best of luck.